Hey, three claps for the video team. Three claps. Ready? Have something else. Man, I'm fired up to be here. I have a house just down the road, and I got a lot of time on my hands here for 6 months. I'm getting ready to go coach my son's sixth grade football team right down the road here in Argyle. And Coach had called me up about coming over to visit with you guys, and I think humbly I can say this: I'm excited to visit with the college team, and I think I can relate a little bit to what's looking you guys down the road here, where you guys are at, what you guys are aspiring to accomplish. I've followed this program a little bit from afar. I used to coach with the Cowboys here in 2003, 2004, and 5, and then I got my first opportunity to be a head coach in 2006 with the Saints. I would say this, and I'm going to draw some comparisons tonight, so just work with me here, and I'll kind of hit a few topics, and I didn't bring anything, I didn't write anything down. I think it's better when I can just kind of go through maybe a little bit of the progression it took for us to get to what you saw on that screen. For many years, the New Orleans Saints represented what was a team that was who you wanted to play. They wore bags on their head in the Superdome for the better part of the 70s. You know, periodically there'd be a good player, Archie Manning, a couple offensive linemen. They had some good defenses there for a while, but it was a team that had really lacked any type of tradition. You know, they had their moments with Coach Mora, and they had a few 9 or 10 win teams. The only problem was the 49ers were in their division at that time, and so anything they accomplished seemed to be overshadowed by the success of San Francisco. And after a while, not being from there, but after a while, that became the accepted course that club was on. In other words, that just became accepted. And it was the same old Saints. And it wasn't a question of if they were going to lose the game, but it was just a matter of how they were going to lose the game. And I would share this with you when we, and I'm going to say we because I arrived in 06, but along with a lot of other people, it was right after Hurricane Katrina, and we were, at that time, a lot like a business startup company. I mean, the club had just relocated from San Antonio. There were tarps hanging on the walls. Really nobody in the city. I mean, it was a ghost town. And it was hard for me. It was hard to bring a family there. It was hard to find players that wanted to come there. And all of us, every one of you guys can recall the news stories and the video clips of Katrina and the devastation it caused. You know, we all watched Fox or CNN and then tuned it off and kind of went on with our normal lives. And all of a sudden, I found myself thrown into this environment. And what you're getting ready to do to start a season here in 9 days is very competitive. It's very tough. And then couple that with the added distraction of a hurricane and all the other things that go with that. The point I'm getting at is this. The first thing that has to happen is you begin your journey. And I'm telling you what now, and I'm not just telling you this because I'm speaking to you tonight. I haven't really, this is the first time I've spoken to any team since my team when I left 3 months ago. The first thing that has to happen is there has to be enthusiasm and a common commitment in the building. Doesn't matter outside the building what's going on, but from a coaching staff, and you've got that in place, from the administration, from the commitment facility-wise, there's got to be a vision. You with me? Anything great that's ever going to happen, there's got to be a lot of different things got to go into that. And it just doesn't happen with the right players, just doesn't happen with the right coaching staff or handful of boosters that want to see a program do well. There's got to be a lot of things that go in the same direction. All right? And the environment that you guys are in now has never been better. It's never been better to change a culture and the fortunes of a college football program than what exists now in 2012. Scholarship limits, boom, here it is. Limits in recruiting, here it is. In other words, they give you guys and everyone else that's playing Division I football an opportunity, a level playing field to create tradition. Let me explain a little bit what I'm getting at with that. And I saw the word up there. We were getting ready to play the Steelers 3 seasons ago, and we hadn't beaten them yet. We lost the second season I was in New Orleans, and I want to throw up hearing about Steeler tradition, Pittsburgh Steeler tradition. So I started doing a little research, and if you really go back, it wasn't until 1974-75 that Pittsburgh Steelers all of a sudden turned the corner. In other words, Chuck Noll, who had been there as the head coach, Terry Bradshaw, and a number of these great players, some of you guys will be familiar with, some of you won't, had experienced a lot of losing prior to this 74-75, that real important stretch where all of a sudden they turn the corner. And what happens in sports, what happens with our media is very, very quickly you can put the past in your rearview mirror. You with me? And so my father, if he were alive, would remember the misfortunes of the Steelers. And anybody in their 60s or 70s might be able to reference the challenges that Terry Bradshaw might have had or the lack of success that team had. And yet I always saw that team as one that every year was contending. And then you researched it, and what was interesting in the media guide, they just left out the whole frickin' 60s. All right, because they didn't win more than 5 games in any one of those years. So that 10-year span was just gone. And it was an organization that had struggled for a long time. And that's kind of where we were in New Orleans. You know, I remember getting there. Our owner, you know, he's like, hey, let's not include this, and this during the media. I said, we got to include all of it in the media guide. Well, that's ours. You just can't get rid of 10 years, say it didn't happen. But very quickly, you can change perception. You can change culture. And in a very short period of time, I feel a little bit of that in here. And what's kind of cool when you watch this is, and you guys hear it now, you hear it time and time again. I know Coach and the staff are going to give it to you in heavy doses. But it is about everybody in this room. Because you have to find a way to you got to get past the outside forces that don't have the same vision you have. You with me? I mean, you don't understand the challenges you guys still have going. And you get off to a good start this year. You're going to face the challenges of, well, it's early in the season. The same thing happened with us in New Orleans. There's a mode of operation sometimes, even within the building, of people who don't know any better, but this is just how we've done it. Now, never mind, they've gotten their ass kicked for the last 30 years, but they just assume this is what we do. And so you almost, as a team, as a coaching staff, you almost have to challenge everything you've always done and look at it closely. And I found myself doing the opposite just because. You with me? 9 days you guys start the season. 3 claps on 9 days. Man, I'm fired up for you. I hate I'm going to miss the season. One of the cool things, though, is because of our profession, we miss a lot. You know, these coaches and you guys get into coaching, you miss a lot of your kids' activities. And so this is the first time, shoot, I'm coaching 6th grade football. I leave here in about a half an hour and I go to a 6th grade practice. You with me? All right, so I got kids looking at dandelions, picking their boogers. I'm trying to put in 50 plays. You ought to see the offense we got. Seriously, we scrimmaged last week and we gutted this team we played. I called up my friend John Gruden. I called him up. I said, Grudog. He said, what are you doing? He's coming in at the end of the month. They're going to do a little special on our team. I said, man, we just gutted this team. I said, I'm telling you what, they didn't stop a play we ran. Now, let me explain something to you that's critical. All right, and this is no BS. This is important. It is important you have it is important you feel like you got the best stuff going. I tell our coaches all the time, man, we are in the sales business. New Orleans Saints, we got the best offense in the history of football. That's what we sell. For the last 6 years, we've been number one in the NFL. Defensively, this is what we do. Special teams, this is what we do. You have to believe the script you're being given is a 5-star script. You with me? Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise, those guys don't take B scripts, man. Denzel Washington, those guys take A scripts. And it's essential that you guys have that confidence in what you're doing. And I've never sensed it more than coaching this 6th grade team, because 2 days in, they really don't give a flip who I am. My son tells me on the ride home, Dad, you got too many words in your calls. They're not going to learn it all. I said to Connor, I've looked at your homework, man. I can't figure out half of what you're bringing home. Got 12 plays, man. I put them on a wristband tonight, got them typed up. Bunch right, fake toss 38 gator, naked left, F under, X corner. Hurry. It's all in, man. And so when you have a chance as a parent and as a coach, and when you have a chance to taste last week, Thursday night, a little scrimmage where all of a sudden you've got some team, I don't know who it was we played. They just came over and we, half an hour, ran our plays, and they didn't stop them. And I called up Gruden, I said, man, it feels just as good as it does on Monday night against the Packers or anybody else we play. It feels just as good. And so I know you guys are getting through a hump of 2 days. Training camp's coming to an end tomorrow. Shoot, you're getting to game week next week. And it's happening fast. So many things go through my mind as I sat in the back of the room, and so many things that I want to communicate to you. Number one, I'm jealous as hell, really. And every coach in here, every trainer, everybody working in this room here is jealous, really jealous of you guys, because here's what happens, guys. At some point, this thing stops ticking for you as a player. High school, maybe you're fortunate enough to come to college, play. And then maybe you're fortunate enough to go and play in the NFL professionally. At some point, that train stops. And one of the reasons I coached was it brought me as close to that locker room and team environment as I was as a player. Almost as close, but not quite. And I think what you're going to miss most when it does stop is you're going to miss these 2-a-days. You're going to miss this time, the grind. You're going to miss the relationships. Trust me, I see it all the time. I talk to guys like Jeremy Shockey, these guys that transition from our game. It's all they've had now. You guys have had it when you were young. You had it in junior high. You had it in high school, college. And whenever it leaves you, all the things you want to complain about, the training table food or the bus ride that you got to take down to frickin' Waco or wherever you're going, Kansas State, or you got a bus to Baton Rouge instead of fly, whatever. All the things that you like to look at as hurdles, and you're going to miss that more than anything. That's what you're going to miss. You're going to miss your teammates, and it's going to happen real quick for you. But back to this perception thing that I think is the focal point of what I wanted to hit on. You see, New Orleans had just gone 3-13, and I remember the first month on the job, all we heard from the workers, from the people in the building, everyone that had a job to do, if it wasn't done correctly, it was blamed on Katrina. You with me? In other words, after a while, hey, why isn't the food here on time? Well, Katrina's got the bread companies all slowed down, so we're not going to have any bread till Monday. And it became kind of this little thing of ours where if anything went wrong, we said, well, it must have been Katrina. Safety blows at coverage. Well, shoot, Katrina, had them all messed up. You with me? And it's at some point when the belief in the room is so strong that regardless of the outside distractions, because one of the challenges you guys have now more than ever, and your coaches have now more than ever, is this 24/7 media scrutiny. And let me give it to you in a simple way now. There's two things that sell in the media, all right? And it's crisis or carnival. So all that stuff you saw up there with me holding the trophy and our players, that sells now. They love it. Eat it up. Eat it up. Now, slip up in any way, shape, or form, crisis. That sells. But realistically, 85, 90% of what you do during the course of a season, of a school year, is somewhere in the middle. But that doesn't sell. And so you have to, at some point this season, you're going to be hit with a little adversity. All right? We were in 2009. We lost 3 games in a row at the end of the season. So I'm just telling you right now, not like a prophet, but as sure as I'm sitting here, this team will get faced with a little challenge at some point this year. All right? You'll have a tough Monday, Tuesday coming to work. All right, that's coming. You with me? That's coming. You'll have some outside criticism, and you'll have the battle of the perception, and a lot of which will be right here on this frickin' campus. You with me? Right on this campus. Because so many people won't have the vision that you guys have and your coaches have. You know what I hate on game days? I hate being on my sideline and seeing people I haven't seen during the week. That drives me nuts on game days. So when I'm on the sideline on game days, I want to see the players, I want to see the coaches, the video. I want to see everybody I see during the week, and every once in a while I'll see this face with a credential. That drives me crazy on game days. Because I just know whoever that person is, he just didn't all in. All right? He just didn't all in. So I'm jealous of you because you're young and you have this still. These memories, right here, you're on the cusp of it. Shoot. You're a week away from playing. And hell, no one in Louisiana gives you a chance in that game. No one. No one. And really, no one gave us a chance in that Super Bowl. And you go through the history of sport. That's why you got to play it. That's why you got to play it. But understand this now. What you're getting ready to accomplish, you're going to look back on, and then very quickly, people won't reference North Texas football in the 90s, late 80s. They won't. It 2011, 12, 13, 14, hey, it's here. Listen, I've watched Miami of Florida, who no one knew anything about back in the 70s, and they hire a guy, Howard Schnellenberger, and I've watched that. I know your coach has. And I've watched Boise State, and I watched Northwestern in the Big Ten, and I've watched TCU, and I've watched these various programs rise, and I've watched the University of Pitt, and I've watched Colorado and University of Washington, and I've seen UCLA. Guys, it's a year, 2 years, bang. Same scholarships, same playing field, same recruiting time, a few difference makers, a few guys that believe. That's it. That's it. Because before that, shoot, the big schools would grab 120 players. And that wasn't ever changing, but it's changed now. And it's here in this room, and it's now. You with me? It's now. And that, what you're getting ready to do and start and accomplish, there's nothing better. And so the last thing I'd leave you with, just watching that video, and it was written on the grease board every Sunday we played, is Joe Vitt, our assistant head coach, wrote this on the board. And I want to get it right because he wrote down, win today and walk together forever. And I heard two of the guys mention it up there because it's not going to be about the physical award, or it's going to be about, you know, what you guys accomplish as a team. And that's the truth. It's not going to be, the ring represents that. But for the rest of my life, the guys that were on that team and that coaching staff, I will have a common bond with regardless. And if any one of those guys ever called me in a pickle or in a jam, I'd have their back. And I feel pretty much the same way. And that's the hardest thing about me being out of this game for one season. There's that void. And so I want to fill it with my son's team. I'm going to fill it watching you guys. And I'm going to come see you play. I'm going to come see you play. You know, look, my dumb ass drove up the road here and I pulled up the other stadium. I got 50 plays in for our sixth graders. I can't find the right stadium. So I do one lap around the stadium. I don't see a car. Now, Coach McCartney told me, hey, there's all these cars over by this one office. I don't see anything. Quiet. And I'm thinking, well, this isn't it. But then on the other side of the highway, here, this is unbelievable, this stadium, seriously. And it was kind of symbolic in my mind. I started thinking, driving here, shoot, you just left it on the other side of the highway. I don't know if we're north, south, east, or west right now, but there's a new stadium. It's time for a new tradition here, and it's time for somebody and a team and a group of individuals, just like we did in New Orleans. Because guys, if you can do it in New Orleans, listen, I had heard all the reasons, Bourbon Street, the distractions. Now, if you guys want to go party this year and screw around, then it isn't going to happen here. You with me? There's some sacrifice that goes with this now. There's a little bit of a price to pay. So you can't have all of that stuff. But it can happen, it can pretty much happen anywhere if you get the right group of people. That's my belief. And I'm honored. I'll come see you this season. I'm fired up. Man, I expect you guys in 9 days to get after someone's ass. All right, thank you.